He just leaves us with this. Now, I have to tell you a couple things. Number one is, if you look at the whole of Jesus' ministry, here's what you would see. Because this looks like he's picking on divorced people. This looks like he is calling out people who are in second or third marriages. This looks like he's just being mean-hearted and mean-spirited. And the deal is you know what? Jesus would never kick people who are downtrodden. He was always compassionate. He was always kind. You look at the woman caught in adultery. And just hang with me for a second so you can hear the full picture. Because the woman was caught in adultery. And what did Jesus do? He came up to her and he shooed all of her people who were judging her away. And he got them to leave. And he says, if you don't have sin in your life, you cast the first stone. You need to get out of here. You get out of here, all you condemners. And he came to the woman and he goes, honey, stand up. And he says, does anybody condemn you? No. Nobody around here condemns you. I don't condemn you. In fact, sweetheart, honey, I love you. I love you and I want a relationship with you to the degree that I'm going to give my life for you. And that's what he would say to any divorced people, any people who are in second marriages. He says, I love you. I care for you. And honey, you might not have even known what you were doing was something that you shouldn't have done. You might not even have been aware. Maybe nobody explained to you the oneness that comes in marriage. Maybe nobody explained to you the permanency that's supposed to be there. And honey, I want you to understand that what you did was sin. And it was against God, and it was against others. But I want you to understand, I love you, and I'm not here to condemn you. I am not here to cast stones against you. I'm not here to blame you. I'm not here to find fault with you. Honey, I want you to get up, and I don't want you to do that again. And I want you to change the way that you've been doing things. Now you know. And with a smile and a hug and a gracious Heavenly Father type of approach, Jesus let that woman understand grace. And that's the deal with all of this, is that it is grace. And some of you are like, well, okay, where does that leave me? I mean, am I in a habitual state of adultery if I'm in a second marriage or something like this? I think the verb tense says that it's a one-time deal when you get married. And the deal is it goes on in that, and he basically talks about the fact that you know, where does that put me? It puts me in a place where Jesus says, you know what? It's just something that we're going to work through. And you know what? Jesus says, hey, it's no big deal. I forgive you. There's grace upon grace. We'll work with it. Great things can come out of it. But I want you to understand, more than condemning you, I want you to understand the nature of marriage, that it is oneness, and oneness that is never meant to be broken. Secondly, somebody might be asking the question, well, where do I stand with the church? Where does this make me stand with God? You know where it makes you stand? With all the rest of us sinners. Right? Because what is it? How does he say adultery? What does he say? He says, if you've looked lustfully at a woman in your heart, that's like all of us. Right? That's like all of us that are in desperate need of grace. That means like all of us are stand squarely in need. That puts you with everybody else. Because we are all strugglers, we are all sinners, and we are all people who desperately need Christ. So where does that put you? That puts you right with us. Just like any other sin, just like any other thing. No big deal. God graciously extends grace.